If your life already looks more finished than your finances do, this video might explain why you still feel stuck. If you have a decent apartment, a car payment, a few automatic charges, and a salary that should feel like progress but mostly feels like maintenance, you may have peaked financially earlier than you think. Not because you failed, because your financial shape got fixed too soon. Most people think financial decline starts when income drops. It usually starts earlier. It starts when a small raise turns into a permanent upgrade. An extra $400 becomes a better apartment. Another $250 becomes a car payment. A few $14, $19, and $39 charges become your monthly default. Delivery becomes normal. Convenience becomes a bill. That doesn't feel like a financial peak, it feels like adulthood. And that's exactly why most people miss it. They think they're still climbing because they make more than they used to. In reality, they stopped climbing. They started defending a version of life they built too early. That is one of the most expensive mistakes adults make. Because once your lifestyle hardens before your assets do, your future income stops building freedom and starts funding maintenance. That's the real trap. Not being broke, not being irresponsible, not one bad purchase. It's reaching your lifestyle ceiling before you build your financial engine. And once that happens, every raise after that feels smaller than it should because it's not making you richer. It's just helping you carry what you already locked in. That's why some people earn more every year and still feel like they're going nowhere. They didn't stop earning, they stopped accelerating. A lot of people don't get stuck because they make too little. They get stuck because they start living like they've already arrived. The moment you treat your current income like your final form, your growth curve starts flattening. Most people call that normal adult life. It's not normal, it's just common. And it usually happens quietly. You get your first real raise. You upgrade your place because it feels deserved. You finance a car because your schedule feels busy. You add a few subscriptions because they seem small. You start paying to remove friction because you're tired. Individually, none of that looks dangerous. That's the point. A $1,400 apartment becomes $1,900. A $480 car payment appears. 3 nights of delivery quietly become $300 a month. A few small charges add another $120. A slightly better routine adds about $1,000 to your monthly baseline. That's $12,000 a year, not in luxury, in default settings. Most financial ceilings are not built with luxury purchases. They're built with normal upgrades that become permanent expectations. That's why this is dangerous. It doesn't look like greed, it looks like maturity. It doesn't look like lifestyle inflation. It looks like stability. And once your new baseline feels emotionally normal, your brain stops treating it like a choice. Or it starts treating it like survival. Because when something becomes normal, you stop asking whether it helps you grow. You only ask whether you can keep it. That is the moment your financial life starts aging faster than your income. Your income may still rise, but your flexibility starts shrinking, and flexibility is what creates wealth, not just income. A lot of people confuse higher income with upward movement. But upward movement is not the same thing as higher cash flow. Real upward movement means your future choices expand faster than your fixed commitments. If your salary goes from $60,000 to $75,000, but your rent, car, subscriptions, food, and convenience spending rise with it, That is not financial acceleration. That is a more expensive treadmill. You're earning more, but your life now requires more to feel normal. That's not wealth. That's a larger machine to feed. And this is where most people peak too early, not because they're careless, because they mistake comfort for capacity. Comfort is how good your current life feels. Capacity is how much future optionality your money is creating. Those are not the same thing. That's why someone can look successful at 31 and feel trapped at 36. Nothing dramatic happened. No disaster, no collapse, no huge mistake. Just 5 years of living slightly above their asset structure. That's enough. If this already sounds familiar, subscribe. This channel is for people who want to see the hidden structure behind normal financial stress before it becomes permanent. Now, here's why most people miss this. First, modern adulthood rewards visible stability more than invisible flexibility. People notice where you live, what you drive, whether your life looks put together. Nobody congratulates you for having low fixed costs. So people optimize for looking settled instead of staying scalable. Second, raises are emotionally louder than obligations. A $7,000 raise feels exciting. An extra $220 here, $180 there, and $90 there feels manageable. That's how momentum dies. Big emotional reward, small structural leak. Repeated enough times, it creates a ceiling. Third, the most expensive upgrade in your life is often identity. Once a cheaper apartment feels like going backwards, once cooking at home feels like deprivation, once saying no starts to feel embarrassing, your costs are no longer just financial. They become psychological, and psychological costs are much harder to reverse. Here's a fast self-check. If 2 months of lower income would force immediate cuts, your ceiling may already be too low. If every raise disappears within 90 days, you're probably upgrading too fast. If your money mostly protects your current setup instead of increasing your future options, you are not building wealth. You are preserving a version of yourself. Wealth is not when your life looks finished. Wealth is when your life is still flexible enough to grow. A lot of people try to feel successful too early. They want the apartment, the car, the routines, the polished version of adulthood, and none of that is automatically bad. The problem is timing. If you lock in the lifestyle before you lock in the asset base, your income stops behaving like fuel and starts behaving like rent. That one shift can cost people years. Most people don't fail in one dramatic moment. They slowly build a life that gets harder to outgrow. And one day, they realize they didn't run out of money. They ran out of room. That's what peaking too early really is. A finished-looking life built on unfinished finances. And if your life already feels expensive to maintain before it feels powerful to control, you may not need a bigger income first. You may need your future back first.